is it so important to maintain authenticity and to maintain consistency with what I heard really was your avatar, really like
Yeah.
who you want to do business with? Why is that so important?
I think it just comes more naturally. It's not as hard, right? So, 72 sold, if you didn't believe in 72 sold, it's really hard to sell it, right?
Mhm.
But if you believe in raising the financial acumen of the people around you, like I do, that's real easy. I come with a lot of energy in that conversation, and it flows naturally for me.
Welcome one and welcome all to Real Kool Talk. We're your hosts, coaches Lucas Hine and Kristen Cronin, and we're about to share keen observations of life by real estate people for real estate people. Let's go.
Oh, great. We get to get all the bloopers. Time
Hello.
for the bloopers.
Happy Friday, y'all.
Happy Friday. I was telling actually Joe, who's coming on today with us, I was telling him yesterday about like all the dumb things I do before we start. Because someone was saying like, it's his director of sales. She's great. And I said, if you ever want to come on, because she's great at scripts, she's just like really good at things. And I said, if you want to come on, she's like, no, I get so nervous. And I was like, you know what? You kind of get over it. Like, who cares? Because I'm like, I do dumb stuff for probably about 20 minutes before we start the call.
Yeah, if she wants to come on and she wants to come on prior to the rest of the rest of our client
Yeah, to
base
kind of like
coming up.
shake it loose.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Yeah, you get used to it. You're like,
Mhm.
yes, you're being recorded the entire time,
Mhm.
and we're gonna use the funniest stuff, and we're gonna cut out the irrelevant stuff. Don't
Yeah,
worry.
totally. We'll use the funny things, doing lip glosses, hair buns,
Yes,
protein shakes. I finally found a good protein shake, by the way, so I'm happy now.
protein shake or bar.
No, protein shake. I hate the bars because remember we talked about it. They're like
Yeah,
compressed cardboard or like
cardboard.
old
I found a
cement.
good one though. Check this one out. It's Cliff Builders. It's by Cliff Bar.
Ooh,
It's actually pretty tasty.
I like that. I'm doing a Remedy Organics cacao shake. Delicious.
Wait, you got to say cacao. You got to say cacao, like
Cacao.
kapow. Yeah,
Hmm.
cacao.
Yeah, cacao. That's how I feel after I drink it. I feel good. I'm ready to go.
I imagine like the Adam West Batman series where you drink something cacao and on the screen it comes cacao.
Yeah, we should do a spin on that when we say cacao.
Okay, quickly. Kristen, who is our guest today? What is a topic today? This is going to be exciting. We're going to let him in just a minute, but tell me about what the topic is and why we're discussing it.
All right. First of all, we're having my very good friend, Joe Delia on. He's OP, market centers with multiple business centers, IMAOs, all the things. Lots of ancillary businesses, tons of investments. He's an incredible human. He has an incredible team. He's in Gary's group. He is really, I worked very closely with him for the past couple of years. So when we were trying to figure out what to talk about, he has so many great topics. We finally came up with MOFIRS because I think it's a topic I've talked about every week for the past couple of weeks.
No, wait, what's it
Or
stand for? What's a mofer? That
make offer,
sounds like a cuss word.
make offer for immediate response. So as we're talking about lead gen strategies, a lot of them are around MOFIRS and people don't even realize it. So it's like, how do we come up with intentional MOFIRS? So we're
So
gonna have Joe's on.
mofer, it's a make offer for immediate response. It sounds more like a sub strategy of a strategy. Like I reach out to my database and I put a little wording in here that is a call to action, that is a make offer for immediate response. Or I'm doing golden letters and there is naturally wording in there that would suggest that I have an offer and I would like them to immediately respond to it if they're interested. Is that kind of, am I on the right
100%.
track there? Okay.
Yep. Yeah. They're already doing MOFIRS. They don't realize it. So what would it like to be to get more intentional with it? I had someone actually, one of my clients write 52 MOFIRS. I was like, write out 52 MOFIRS. Then you have one a week for the whole year.
So was your person lead generating to their database or was it outside? Was it an unmet group that they were
And
lead generating
we were
to?
talking unmets.
We're
Yeah.
doing unmets. We're doing
Unmet
MOFers for
MOFIRS.
unmets.
Mhm,
Gotcha.
mhm.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm pumped. I'm pumped.
Yeah.
And why is he an expert? Why is our guest an expert in the MOFIR strategies?
He has used them in recruiting to the market centers. He has an amazing team that does a ton of volume. So they're using them on their team. He's been really creative with how he has used them and what he has put together. So he's going
Cool.
to give us a ton of strategies today.
He's in the room. Why don't we let him in first?
Let's let him in. Joe Delia.
Hey, Joe Delia, how are you?
What's up?
Hi. Joe,
Munch
I
on
don't
some
know.
tater tots.
I would love that. I don't know if you know Lucas. He's my partner in crime for all things maps.
Hey, Joe, it's
I
nice
don't
to
know
meet you
Lucas.
over Zoom.
You too.
Yep.
I got two more tater tots to finish and I'm done.
Oh,
It's
that's
okay.
it?
We always banter in bloopers.
Come on now. We need some more tots on that
Yeah.
plate. Wait, are we all old enough to know Napoleon Dynamite?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you gonna finish your tots?
I never watched it.
What?
I know, Kristen.
You're eating
What?
tater tots for lunch. You have to now go watch Napoleon Dynamite.
Just watch it because when your kids are older, you're going to want to watch it. My teenagers love it. It's really funny.
I can't promise it.
Just do it.
All right. And this is
On
the
your next
time.
flight.
It's exactly 12 o'clock. This is when everybody's AI bots show up in the
Yeah.
waiting room. So we're not letting any of them in.
Who would have thought?
All right,
Who would've
Kristen.
thought?
Being early nerd to computers, who would have thought we'd be at the stage where everyone's AI logs in for everybody?
Yeah. It's really interesting. Happy Friday, y'all. How's everybody doing? Lucas, how are you?
Having a great Friday so far.
Excellent.
I got my partner in crime, my awesome 6-month-old assistant. He's in his bouncer chair right down here. He might make an appearance at some point in time.
Hey,
Beautiful.
So I'm excited to get into this topic. Kristen, what's this topic today?
So we are talking MOFIRS because people are doing them. What would happen if you just became more intentional with your wording? People don't even know they're doing them. We've talked a ton about different lead gen strategies. So I think it's about getting intentional. And today our guest is my super great friend, Joe Delia. I've gotten to work closely with him. I was team leader of the market center that he owns. He's got a great team. He's in Gary's group. So, Joe, thanks so much for joining us today. I'm super excited. You and I had you have so many things we could talk about. So we can't wait to have you back and talk about some of the other things. But we were going through what do we talk about today? And we landed on MOFIRS. So yeah, tell everybody a little bit about you, kind of what you're doing.
Been a serial entrepreneur my whole life. Started with student painters at 18 and then opened up a media company that cross-sold custom clothing gear from there. Got into the gold business for a while. We would throw gold parties, melt it.
The gold business stories are my favorite, especially when Joe and I went to Cali for and we both lived in California for quite some time, and we were there for family reunion. We did a coast drive and talked about the gold days.
Wait, gold
times.
is that some sort of crypto? Is that gold?
No, this was legal drug
crypto.
dealing. It was all about weight and purity. Legal drug dealing. And test the weight, test the purity, pay out cash. So that was fun. Made a lot of money doing that. And then that gave me the means and the opportunity to start investing. And so I did the Trump U University, and that was fun. Learned a lot, and started investing and just failed my way forward. And then when we wanted to move to Cincinnati, my wife and I wanted to move back to the Midwest because we thought we'd start having a family. And I got my real estate license, and that was 2012, 2013. Failed my way around that. And then we decided we want to move home. And she left her, 6-figure plus job at General Electric, being a Six Sigma process engineer, efficiency, that sort of thing, to go be a $9 an hour cold caller at Rocket, what was Quicken Loans at the time. And I got my real estate license. Then we moved into my brother's bedroom. So, joined Keller in 2015. Went from 50 units my first year in 2014 to doing 50 million 12 months later. Well, 6 months ramp up, but 12 months later. And then I had the blessing and the opportunity to buy the Market Center in 2017, the end of it. And we were number 10 out of 12 franchises in the state of Michigan. And last year, under Kristen's guidance, we got to number 1 in total units closed. So it's been a heck of a journey to get to this point. So yeah.
It's amazing.
Can we talk
Mhm.
about, and then she left you?
I didn't leave.
Hey, I
I'm
share
still
that wall.
here.
We
Look
share
at
that
the,
wall.
yeah.
She's there.
Joe
Yeah.
and I share the wall in front of me.
Yeah.
I am still here. So
She's
much
there.
still here.
Yeah.
I can never leave them. There,
Hey,
I'm going to die.
Kristen's destined for coaching. I told her that when we were interviewing, right? So
Kristen, you help them get to number 1, and then you're
yeah.
like, all right, peace, homie.
Yeah, she just mic dropped and walked out. So no,
I'm
just kidding.
so
She didn't do that at all. Yeah, but yeah, she rocked it, and she's killing it. She's still a valued member of the Market Center, and yeah, and we got a good team together, her included, and yeah, we're doing good. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk MOFIRS.
Wait, what are they? What does it even stand for?
We said it sounds, oh no, that was cacao. We were saying
We were talking about
it's
cacao,
Friday. Lucas and I had a lot of
your
bloopers
protein
before
drink.
y'all got on here. MOFIRS are make offer for immediate response.
Yeah. Yeah, and so the thing with MOFIRS is it's not unique to real estate, right? So I was talking to Lewis, my son, who's 8, just turned 8 this morning, about this. And you hear it, right? You're on YouTube and you hear the shows they're watching, and it's like, sign up now and get this special skin, right?
Mhm.
Or so, and that's a MOFIR, right? If you sign up today, you can get special skin for whatever game that they're selling on YouTube, for whatever shows he's watching, right? So MOFIRs are all over the place, and once you really understand them, you'll start to recognize them very often, right? So real estate's not unique. Real estate's a business like any other business, and once you start understanding, it's like when I got a minor in marketing at Central Michigan, and I was like, oh, they call that a target market. I'd already been running my painting business, right? And I'm like, oh, market segment, right? Like I just started to associate terms to things we were already doing. And MOFIRs are the same thing. You run something. You guys have heard of the reverse bold, right? So call in today and win this Yeti cooler, right? That's a MOFIR.
So I'm going to preface this with like some of the things we talk about on here with giveaways, and some of these MOFIRs don't apply in all states. And we do recognize that. I think it's more about thinking about what is, and this is what I say even when you're going to, like, you see all the panels or you see any agents talking about anything, it's more about looking like at what is the ground framework of whatever they're using. And how do you replicate that into a way that does make sense for your business model, your demographic, or your area. So as we kind of go through these today, those of you that maybe some of them may not apply in your area, think about how could we brainstorm what would apply in that same way.
Yeah. And bear with me on this. And I know every state's different, but they're also not like you're giving away a cooler is not illegal. Right? Like from a giveaway perspective, there's nothing illegal about giving away a cooler. Your marketing company could do that all day long. Right. So Zillow and the rest of these people, they all figure it out. Now, if you're giving away, you're trying to raffle off an opportunity to buy a house, well, that's a real estate activity, right? But to call in about a cooler is not necessarily a real estate activity. That's just a giveaway. So.
Yeah. And in Michigan, we live in a really restrictive state with all of RESPA and the real estate things that are here. So we have to be creative with how we word things and how we do them as well. So Joe, tell us some of the MOFIRs that you have used with the team that you guys found had really good engagement or huge response on.
Yeah, so every MOFIR is going to put you at a different spot in the lead funnel, right? And so depending on what MOFIR you want to chase is where you're going to land on the lead funnel. So you guys have probably heard of rates as low as 4%. We have Chris and I in our market center, we have a guy who runs that at a high level. And the 4% is if the seller brings the buyer, and we know how often that happens. But that's a MOFIR, right? Someone calls in on that. For the Delia group, we specialize in the one we've ran a lot with is home value leads. And we do that with Fellow. I hope Command can replace Fellow at some point, but Fellow does that into our database. And then I call it a boomer trap. because only the boomers click on stuff like that. Like, how do I get my home value? I'm going to click this and put my info in. All right. And it's a boomer trap. So you definitely, I think 98% of the people that click on that are over 60. So your different MOFIRS are going to also hit different segments of society. My wife and I laugh about it. We're like, at first we didn't know that that was going to be the case. And then as the stats came through, we're like, of course that's the case. Because no one our age, I mean, we grew up on the internet, right? So we know where these traps are, and we're not entering our info into that trap. But my mom would, right? So and so home value, and it's really simple. I mean, it's just like if you take the overview of Zillow and you just screen capture as it like kind of goes over top of like a community, and it has the houses, and it says click here to know your home value. It takes you to a form page. They fill it out, and our team calls and asks them, and then drives them to Fellow, which gives them an automated value. And we ask why they were checking, basically, right?
Can
What'd you
you,
think? Too high, too low? Yeah.
yeah, Joe, talk about Fellow, because I don't think everybody may not know what that is. So how are you guys kind of utilizing that, and where are you guys putting the information out that they're
Yeah,
getting?
and Command's on its way to replacing this, but and I used to be our tech guy for the region when Command stunk, and then I got all the tomatoes. But now that it's amazing, it's cool to see it like come to fruition just maybe a couple of years later than they thought. And so what Fellow is just it's a home value tool. If you think of how Zillow got built off people checking their value. Did it go up? Did it go down? And what you don't want is everything's about leaking value onto other people's databases, right? Because everybody lives in somebody's database. It's just who's adding the most amount of value as often as possible, right? And so Zillow, if they're going on checking their Zestimate, that's Zillow leaking value onto your consumer database, right? And so what we try to do is create, and I know this is Command's vision because I sat with Gary often as it was being built out. And the vision is that people don't have to leave the Keller Williams ecosystem to get value, and that's why you just saw them roll out their home value tool. But Fellow is a little more diverse. They can request CMAs, they can request cash offers. I've tried running cash offer MOFIRS. They're super expensive. And I'm kind of a wuss when it comes to lead spend. I don't like high cost lead value or lead costs. I'd rather get volume and find the quality and the quantity than chase lower funnel stuff. But I also have like a wide group of people to spread that over. If I was more limited on time, I would chase more quality over quantity and spend more per lead. So what Fellow does is it provides an outlet for people to be able to request cash offer, CMA, or home value, right? And then they receive that. And the unique thing about Fellow is you can update it. So if someone's telling you stuff, they're like, oh, it's too low, and you know it's too low, you can update it right there on the spot. And like, obviously, we've never been in your house. Tell me more about it, right? And you start updating. And the future is all about, and we know this from no, what's the book name? It's on my shelf somewhere around here. The membership economy. It's opt-in marketing. The future is all opt-in marketing. You're seeing this all over the place, and the TPCA lawsuit has somewhat to do with this. And one of the ways you get people to opt in is low-cost leads, so you can build your database, and then you can cross-sell whatever you want through that. For instance, right now, my wife and I are cross-selling 10% discount for people to stay at our short-term rentals. Well, those are all people who opted in, home value and the rest of it for us to be able to market to them. So yeah, Fellow's just kind of our tool to do that. I hope to drop it at some point. Don't tell Ryan. Ryan Young's a mega agent with Keller who built this out, who I love and respect, great guy. But the less I can spend on third-party systems, the better. But did that answer your question?
Yeah, I think it's,
Okay.
I think have different agents on the call with different business models. Some of them are SOI community based, some of them are, getting leads from different aggregator sources. So I think when we're thinking about MOFIRS, what are some strategies around the different business models for MOFIRS that they can start to implement?
Yeah, I think a Fellow and home value is like a force multiplier. It doesn't matter where you capture the info from. Everybody wants to know what usually their top asset is worth, right? So it doesn't matter where you got the lead from, whether it's past client, community, social. They all are curious what their home value is, and that's how Zillow. What did Rich Barton say? Became the elephant that was too fat to kick out of dinner. was through that. So.
Lucas, what are your thoughts? What questions do you have?
So I think that what Joe is talking about solves a big problem that a lot of agents on all production levels are having, and that is the why am I reaching out to my people, right? Because after you get past like your first year in real estate, nobody wants to hear who do you know planning to buy, sell, or invest. So the idea of the MOFIR, which we discussed prior to anybody getting on, it's really a sub strategy within a strategy. So what are your lead generation strategies? Do you do neighborhoods? Do you do farming? Are you doing FSBOs and expireds? Are you exclusively database plus like maybe open houses to add to your database? And when you add a MOFIR to a campaign, to whatever pillar you're lead generating to, it solves the problem of what the heck am I reaching out to these people for? So like in the instance of the reverse bold 100, that's a really easy thing to insert a MOFIR for. It's like, look here, to enter this thing, we're going to reach out to you, we're going to talk to you about whatever is in our message, and then you're automatically going to get entered into this contest to win this Peloton or whatever, right? So Joe, where are you seeing MOFIR strategies outside of the database being used most frequently?
I mean, there's tons of them. I mean, you guys, 72 sold was somewhat infamous and notorious through KW, right? And that's a MOFIR. Rates as low as 4% is a MOFIR. Cash offer today is a MOFIR. You can have MOFIRs for really anything. And you can, I think what people underappreciate is you can run different MOFIR. A MOFIR is I'll pay for pre-inspection if you sign by this date on any listings that you have lingering. I know that's one that Kristen on our team uses. If they sign in the month of April, we're actually paying for a pre-home inspection for you, right? To get people to sign today. So you can create MOFIRs for anything that you want. There's dozens of them all over the place. If I don't sell it, I'll buy it. That's a classic one, right? So, and usually you got to go and look at the terms. They're buying it for 60 cents on the dollar, 70 cents on the dollar. So you can get MOFIRs for just about anything.
Yeah, I think it's understanding like who your demographic is. I mean, we go back and forth and, about really understanding and being clear on your business model and who you're working with. And why do you interact with the brands you interact with? And what would make your consumer interact with you in that same way, and almost like that less is more approach, even to spark curiosity.
If you're a team and you're hyper local, show this house within 15 minutes. That's a MOFIR that you can hang from a sign. We hang, if you buy this house, we'll buy yours on our listing panels. So there's a lot of different MOFIRs you can go with. Yeah, the thing I would say is whatever MOFIR you run, make it who you are, right? It's got to be a part of the fabric of who you are. Lucas, you're talking earlier about why do you call people? I mean, for me, it's raising money and raising people's financial acumen. So every month I'm having a big, like, we've got one of our top speakers. I mean, this guy, people fly out. Luckily, he's a friend of mine. They'll fly him to speak at panels, and he's coming in to speak to our market center on the 23rd. And so I call through my database asking him, hey, I've got this guy coming in. Do you have any? He's a national speaker. He's coming into our market center, no cost to you. Do you have any real estate investing goals for the year? Right. And so I do the same thing with agents. When I'm recruiting other agents, I'm calling them, basically asking them if they have any real estate investing aspirations for the year. Come to our class. And it's me dripping value on someone else's database. They're over at, ABC Realty. Maybe they like our environment better. So
why is that important to, what I heard was maintain authenticity. Yes. You see the top of a head right here. Here's my partner. You see, why is it so important to maintain authenticity and to maintain consistency with what I heard really was your avatar, really like who you want to do business with? Why is that so important?
I think it just comes more naturally to you. It's less of a lift, it's harder. It's not as hard, right? So You know, 72 sold, if you didn't believe in 72 sold, it's really hard to sell it. Right. But if you believe in raising the financial acumen of the people around you, like I do, that's real easy. I come with a lot of energy in that conversation. And it flows naturally for me. Right. So create a MOFIR that works well for you and who you are. I mean, Vanessa Pollock runs such an incredible MOFIR around raising money for kids around her, right? And the organizations around her. And she's super profitable. You know, there's a guy out of Colorado who is super passionate about ending homelessness. So everything he does is rallying around those things in his 503c. So you can pick whatever you want your business to be based off of. And I would really, you know, you have to first start with what your core values are and who you are as a person, and then just morph your business into that. Your business is really just an extension or a vehicle of who you are internally, and then you'll attract more people of that tribe, right? So
I think that's so true. I mean, week after week, like we have a common thread of having extreme clarity on who you are and how that translates into your business and into that model. And the agents that do really well are the ones who are really clear on that and also have stuck to some consistency in that lane. Like they've chosen, this is the lever I pull, I haven't exhausted it, and I just go forward every day at it.
yeah, and the market center Chris and I are in, you know, for me personally, the red day is critically important. And I somewhat judge you if you don't come, to be honest. And if you don't come and contribute at a high level, I find that to be outside of the culture that I want internal to the office. And sometimes the afternoon and evening for red day is me asking people where they were, right? Because it's my expectation that they're there. And especially the teams that I'm in business with, and we're, you know, we're blessed to be in business with some of the top teams in the state, and it's my expectation that they come and contribute, right? I show up for them like crazy. I want them to show up and bring their people too. So that's why we get the participation level that we do, is because we set that expectation and we talk about it when people join us, how important it is. Right. And that's an extension of who I am, which then rolls into who our staff is, who then rolls into who our agent base becomes. Right. So,
Yeah, I think thinking about kind of your journey and like, your first year you did 50 and then, how you've scaled. What I know this is we're kind of like moving off MOFIRS, but maybe not really. What
yeah,
has worked for you? Like what's the best advice that you could give our people who are at different phases of building?
I think the leverage series is like, I mean, I can't even speak highly enough about it. It's such a unique value proposition to Keller Williams. It's such a superpower. It's why you see things like Fellow or Place or you name it spin out of agent businesses into highly successful publicly traded companies at times, and high VC valuations. What's Tim Hiles' company, Homeward or whatever. It's because they mastered the leverage series. They mastered how to attract, recruit, and retain top talent when they get in. How do you hold them accountable? And then what the ongoing cadence of communication should look like to make sure people are hitting their goals and that goals are being hit within the organization. And that's why, you know, we didn't talk about this earlier, but we went from 0 to 157 million in mortgage in 2 years. Well, I mean, I've never originated a mortgage in my life, but I built a $157 million mortgage company because I knew how to recruit, attract, hold accountable, top mortgage talent, right? And I wasn't originating, so I didn't need to know how to originate. I just need to know how to build a company. So it can translate to anything that you want. So if you really want to build a highly successful organization, I mean, I've taken CV. So I've recruited top agents. She was Remax Hall of Fame, Star Power, Hall retire, you know, all these things. And now she's our partner in Lake Orion. She just launched a Keller office in Lake Orion. And I was recruiting her through CV at the time. And I'm like, hey, I've taken this class 12 times. And she's like, so are you slow or is it that good? And it's probably a combination of both. But you know, if you want to be in mastery, Gary says the first time you take, you know, the leverage series, you're in kindergarten, then first grade, then second grade, then third grade. Because each speaker has a different spin. I learned so much from Ben Kenny when he was running it, from just go down the list. Seth Campbell. I mean, you name these top people. Kristen Cole. Right. Everyone has a different Adam Hergenrother. They all have a different twist on it. And then you're also different. It's like the bold law. The man and the river are never the same. Every time you enter in there, you hear a different thing, and you think it's like when you listen to one thing over and over, you're like, man, they must have changed this book. It's like, no, the book's the same. I just have different problems today, so I hear different sections differently, right? And the leverage series is that same way. So every time it comes to town, I flew around the country to listen to the best speakers for it. Because if you can become a better leader and a better recruiter and a better attract, it's not even really recruiting, it's really attracting 30, 60, 90, and then on the success through others portion, everything else becomes easier or relevant.
Yeah, I think in last week we talked about leverage in the form of, what was cyberbacker and virtual assistants and how that works. I think, what would you say to those that are feeling a squeeze, right? They're feeling a squeeze financially. They're looking at their books this year and they're trying to decide, like, when is the right time and how do I start to put in leverage, or they're fearful of that initial step. What's your advice? Like, what have you seen or gone through in your own businesses?
Yeah, and Kristen's world class at this. And no offense, Lucas, I don't know you as well as I know her, but you really got to evaluate what your calendar is, right? And so, and look and see where your time's being allocated. My lowest match on the CV is showing agent. Who would have thought an off the charts driver with no patience would be terrible at showing houses? That's pretty obvious, right? And very, very early in my career, I leveraged showing agents because I had so many buyers. I mean, I remember one time I had 7 clients going out, including the one I was taking on a day, right? And one of the people, my line always was, "Hey, I didn't want you to have to wait for me, so I have." At the time, it was Nina. Nina lined up. She'll take you to 123 Main Street, this and that. And they go, "That's," one of my clients said to me, "It's cool. I like Nina more, anyways." And I was like, "Do I be offended, or did I just unlock the next level?" Right? And I was like, "Perfect," right? Because I like Nina too. She's great. And she's a better showing agent than I am. So I think look at your calendar and then figure out where's your time being spent, right? And if your time's being spent on whatever your dollar per hour is, I would take a T-chart, right? So I learned this early with career visioning. You take a T-chart and you have on the left what you like and on the right what you don't like, and then you just go through and write it all down, and then put a dollar per hour next to each one of those things after you figured out what your dollar per hour is. And obviously things that you don't like that pay less, get rid of those first. Right. And then just you top grade your time. And the big mistake, and this is why you see people's margins getting compressed, is one of the big mistakes people make is they try to do it all. And I think over time, and you see the growth of teams, and that's because you don't have to do it all on a team. Right. And so you have 2 choices. You either need to compete with it or join it. And so if you're not great at, posting what your reviews are and automating that, find a VA who can do that. VAs can do that for super cheap, right? If you're not great at posting just listed or just sold or sending out the postcards, find a VA that knows command. That stuff's super simple, because I have people in my family who are realtors that get stuck in this trap where they say everything's easy. And I couldn't agree more. There's a lot of stuff in real estate that's easy, but what's hard or difficult is doing all the easy things consistently. Right. And that's where leverage comes in, because that's the expectation that they do. And they work off checklists. And usually top agents aren't big checklist people. They're fly by the seat of the pants, press the gas pedal. I want to go talk to people. Right. And so finding someone who's that counterpart that can do all of the simple things and the easy things, but they do it every time and they do it the same way every time, unlocks so much. Right. So that's where I start. T-chart, first dollar per hour, second T-chart, like, don't like, dollar per hour associated with all of those things, right? And then start handing that stuff off. I'm a big proponent of having in-office help as the first hire. Other people have different perspectives on that. I just know that I don't want to hold accountable people that live in the internet. I'm better at walking in the office, making sure belly to belly we're on the same page, and then they can go lead the fleet of internet people, right? So, and that's just how I function. But I've also always had my wife as my right hand, so I'm used to that, right? So
Yeah, we should preface this. You guys do have a good partnership and work together and both handle like your strengths on both sides.
And
So
communication's not my strength. So if I'm trying to communicate with someone who exists on the internet, that's just not going to work that well for me, right? And so, but I can walk in the office and they can be like, "I have no idea what you're talking about. Let's talk through this," and then we're on the same page, right? So you got to know who you are first, and then hire around that. I heard Gary actually talk about this, Kristen, actually. They're talking with Gary, and it was a bunch of his leaders. And they're like, yeah, but Gary, like, you have to understand, like, you hired a chaos, right? You hire people that are okay and thrive within chaos, right? Like, the people who aren't good with that don't work here anymore,
Mhm.
right? So you got to know who you are first, so then hire around you accordingly. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Provisioning helps with that.
Lucas, we kind of went all over the place today,
Yeah, we
but
did.
what do you, I
In a
feel
good
like
way.
there's just so many things we could talk about, but
I mean, in
I
a
feel like these are
nutshell,
valid things right now.
there was we throughout the entire spectrum of topics that we covered today. The recurring theme that I kept hearing was authenticity. So knowing thyself, right? Being authentic with who you are, how you're lead generating, how you're hiring, right? Every single subject that we covered, that theme kept recurring, right? I think that's an important point to take away is knowing yourself so well, knowing what you want to do, what you don't want to do, knowing what your worth is, all of those things. We are at the 12:30 mark, so I would love to hear any ahas, feedback, decisions that were being made from this session by any one of the 15 folks that are in the room today. Does anyone have any feedback to share?
Do you guys have any questions for Joe? He's done a lot. And so we had a hard time, he and I had a really hard time coming up with like, what is the topic here?
Oh, I have a question actually. So there's somebody in the room that I coach that's from another Michigan market center that said, you know how to throw a 40th birthday party very, very well. So I'm turning 40 this year, and that's a very important topic for me. So how do I get my friends to throw me a 40th birthday party trip to Mexico?
I know that was a good, you guys had a good trip.
That was for Dominic.
Yeah, that was for
Yeah.
Dominic.
Yeah. Yeah, Dominic, that was all his wife. I found the location as a joke. I sent it to her because this place was outrageous. And yeah, look up Private Paradise in Cozumel. Place was outrageous. And she's like, I don't know. I think we'll like that. Cool. We went and did it. So it was a good time. I want to my wife and I are turning 40. I'm in December. She'll be this upcoming March. And I've been saying it for years. For Lucas Howard's, who's one of my best friends, he's our regional director and also one of the top agents in Grand Rapids. We sailed the French West Indies on a catamaran. That was a blast. And so I've been saying I want to sail the Mediterranean, but my wife says it's too cold in December. So I'm like, that's okay. We can wait. It doesn't have to be in December, you know. I think sailing the Mediterranean. Actually, Kristen, you don't know this yet. We just signed up. We're going up to Traverse to get our captain's license this summer.
Oh, that's
For
awesome. I knew
sailing.
that
Yeah.
Renee was studying sailing and we were talking about that
Yeah.
before. So
It's
love
not as expensive as you'd think. And plus, when you go with all real estate people, that's a mastermind.
it. Work trip.
Yeah, that's a mastermind. If you
I
put some of
love
them on your board of directors, that's a board meeting.
I love a work trip. So you guys know I'm doing the MAPS road trips. So I'm trying to get to see all of you guys.
Yeah, take the leverage series again for sure, and take
Yeah.
it from a different instructor.
So true.
There's another really good course if you want to build your team, servant leadership with Gary. I mean, people always ask like, oh, what do you talk about in Gary's mastermind? I'm like, well, you could pay $250 and fly into Austin and see. I mean, servant leadership is like half of what we talk about the whole time. So that class is amazing. You get to sit there with Gary on the first day and Jason on the second. It's fantastic.
Love it. If you guys have any more questions, let us know. Joe, thanks so much for coming on today.
Yeah,
Love
just in
it.
summary, just like Lucas said, be authentic and align your MOFIR. It could be raising money, it could be home value. Just align your MOFIRs with who you are as a person, and then just hire it to be consistently marketed, right? So, and doing all the simple things consistently is what you need to hire, right? So,
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks so much for coming on. We're gonna have to have you back and talk about
Sounds good.
short-term rentals because I think that's
Oh,
another great
have
topic.
Renee on that one. I just burn boxes. That's my job.
We should have Renee on for that one.
Yeah.
That would be
Yeah.
fun.
She'll coach you up on that. She's
Yeah.
amazing at it.
Yeah,
So,
that is true. Awesome. Well,
all right.
happy Friday, you guys. Have an amazing weekend. Reach out to us if we can support you. Oh, one last thing. In a couple weeks, actually specifically the 23rd, we are moving the Friday call because a lot of people have conflict with it. So hopefully those of you that make it every week can also join. We're going to move it to Thursdays at 3 o'clock Eastern time. So give you guys a little more time on Fridays for your showings, summer things. But Thursdays, 3 o'clock, we'll be going forward. Of course, we'll still record them. They'll be on YouTube. They'll be all the places. So we'll keep you guys posted. But next week, still same time. And we start our social media series next week. Lucas,
All right.
parting thoughts?
Party on, Wayne.
Happy Friday, you guys.
See you later. Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Bye. And that is a wrap, folks. Thank you so much for listening to Real Kool Talk. If you like what you heard, please like and subscribe. And please leave us a rating and review. We want to hear your feedback as we thrive on feedback. It is always the breakfast of champions. And now for the legal stuff. This podcast is for general informational purposes only. The views, thoughts, and opinions of the hosts and the guests represent those of the hosts and the guests, and not Keller Williams Realty International, its affiliates, MAPS Coaching, or its affiliates, and should not be construed as financial, economic, legal, tax, or other advice. This podcast is provided without any warranty or guarantee of its accuracy, completeness, timeliness, or results from using the information. That's all, folks. See ya. We both ummed at the same time. You say your first. Okay, can we cover quick housekeepings?
Yes, let's go.
Okay. The next couple weeks, do you want to do our Instagram?
What do you mean?
Like, do you want to do our like the theme, the Instagram theme?
Do you what like in what you want me to do something on Instagram?
No, I'm asking, is that do we want to do that? Is that what we want to do?
Sure, you want to do some Instagram? We can do Instagram.
No.
What can I do to help you with Instagram?
Oh my God.
Oh,
I
no,
need
wait,
to.
I got it. It's Friday. This has been a whole week. Okay, this is a great blooper reel.
Oh my gosh. Please tell me that my 6-month-old child that is sitting right here didn't just poop his pants. I think he did. Oh my gosh. He actually did. Ready? Oh, come on, man. Right when I'm about to look at that. Look at that. He just dutied right before our show started. What do you have to say? Oh, it was a false alarm. There's just cheeks in here.